بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Sisters and brothers, Salamullahi alaikum wa rahmatuhu wa barakatuhu. It's a great pleasure for me to be with you in this program dealing with human values and ethics and artificial intelligence, which is a very controversial issue at the moment. We need to understand the Islamic perspective about it. Now, the summary of what I'm going to talk about is that the humans, Banu Adam, children of Adam, we must be in control of the cosmos, of the world around us. That is called taskhir, because we humans have got a sense of morality and ethics, and that's what makes us superior to all other creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, artificial intelligence is related to automation, things happening on their own. Now, if it's not well controlled, it will threaten the human control. It will threaten taskhir. And then, when it threatens taskhir, then there will be unethical, immoral consequences because it's the human who is the guarantee of morality and an ethical perspective. Now, I think that people who research on artificial intelligence or people who use artificial intelligence in other areas of research must make sure that human moral control prevails. And we shouldn't allow AI to be used for immoral purposes. That's a summary of what I want to say. Now I will start elaborating. I start with the basic concepts in Islam, the triad of Khilafah, Taskhir, and Umran. Human history started with the creation of Adam alayhi salam, and when Allah made him Khalifa, إذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة. Allah put a Khalifa on earth, and that Khilafah was a moral responsibility that Adam had, and we, all his descendants, have inherited it. Now, why was Adam made a Khalifa? For two basic reasons. There's the moral superiority over all other creations, and also superior knowledge. As you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught him the names of all things. You may even be surprised when I say Adam is superior to all Allah's creations. Yes, that's true, because the Malaika are obedient 100%. They cannot obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we humans, we can make mistakes. Sometimes we go wrong, but we have got the ability to make istighfar and come back. We are mature people who can make choices. Of course, in making choices, we could make mistakes. But in the end, we are able to come back. That is our superiority, even over angels. Now, knowledge, the human has got superior knowledge. And this is basically because of our bigger cerebral surface area compared to our body volume. And we are able to control everything around us. We can change rivers, lakes, we can change animals, we can change the soil because of the superior brain that we have got. And this is what we call taskhir. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the ability to control the environment around us. And because we can control it, we can build a civilization. So that's the third term of the triad, Al-Umran. So the triad is Khilafah, Taskhir, and Umran. We shall be discussing artificial intelligence from these three concepts. Now, the term Taskhir has been used in the Quran 72 times. It's a very comprehensive concept. It means that all creations, biological and physical, are at the service of humans and, and are controlled by humans, of course, with the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, these creations have got properties that facilitate being controlled by humans. And there are many verses in the Quran. I cannot read all of them. Can read a few of them. ألم تروا أن الله سخر لكم ما في السماوات وما في الأرض واسبغ عليكم نعمه ظاهرة وباطنة. Surah Luqman. So this is taskhir. There are many other verses which really repeat this concept of taskhir, that all creations are under human control. Now we come to artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence has got an element of autonomy, that we now have things that may not be controlled fully by humans. And that's the source of all the ethical discussions. We need to ask a fundamental question. Is artificial intelligence a tool that humans can use, or is it special intelligence, something above us? Does it have a personality? Does it have autonomy? These are questions that researchers are still discussing, but let us see how they relate to the ethics. Autonomy means the ability of artificial intelligence systems to operate independently of human control and supervision. Now, there are three levels of autonomy, and each of these levels has got different ethical implications. The first one is human in the loop, that the human is like a co-pilot, is going along with artificial intelligence. They are together. Then there is another level, which is human on the loop. That's supervisory. It means the human is supervising artificial intelligence. But then there is another one, which is still a theoretical possibility, human out of the loop. That is when artificial intelligence is fully autonomous, under no control of the human. Now, human in the loop and human on the loop are forms of automation that we're already familiar with. But in these two cases, there is a script. The human may not be controlling AI at this specific moment, but he can control it because he knows what he's doing. He can predict what he's doing. So human in the loop and human on the loop are considered partial autonomy. So partial autonomous artificial intelligence has been very useful for us, analyzing data and making real-time decisions, taking actions, many things. But human out of the loop, which is fully autonomous, is a theoretical possibility. I don't think that we have yet reached the level when artificial intelligence is completely independent of the human and unpredictable. If we reach that level, that will be a violation of taskhir, a violation of human control of everything. Now, there is so far no empirical evidence that I know saying that or fully autonomous artificial intelligence exists. The issue is, if humans control technology, we are sure that artificial intelligence will be ethical, because humans are ethical. Humans know ethics. But what is happening is that technology is reaching autonomy in decision making. Machines now can manufacture other machines. They can produce goods, and they can do many things without direct human intervention. Artificial intelligence can analyze large data sets and reach considerations and reach conclusions. Problem is that in these conclusions, there should be a moral perspective. Do they take this into consideration? Now, what we fear is that we may end up with taskhir being reversed, that artificial intelligence may end up controlling the human. Now, if artificial intelligence is in control, who will take responsibility for mistakes? These are issues that people in the ethics world are discussing. But what I want to say, as long as artificial intelligence operates within limits set by humans and limits that humans can understand, we do not have a big problem. Now, but humans can lose control due to neglect. They just don't care. They let artificial intelligence do what it wants. But then when they wake up, they can always make a correction. That's the important thing, that they can correct things when they go wrong. How can humans lose control over artificial intelligence? It may be a simple way, just moral decay. When humans no longer care about ethics, then they will let artificial intelligence do what it wants because there are no moral criteria. But there is also a possibility that human control can be lost due to interference by shaitan. Because as you know, shaitan is the enemy of humans. And you never know, he may come at us through artificial intelligence. As shaitan said, قال فبعزتك لأغوينهم أجمعين إلا عبادك منهم المخلصين. Shaitan or Iblis told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I will confuse the human beings. So he still confuses human beings. And it is possible that this confusion can come through artificial intelligence applications. Also, when sins increase and iman decreases, humans will not be able to control the artificial intelligence, and it can do a lot of dangerous things. Because when we are committing sins, iman goes away. It can come back, but at the moment of committing sins, iman goes away. As the Prophet said, لا يزني الزاني حين يزني وهو مؤمن. You do not commit a sin when you have iman in you. So there are moments when, due to a lot of sinning, the iman will be lifted or will be decreased. Now that's a hole that can be misused. Now we want to talk about issues when AI is partially autonomous with easy human control. It's free to do what it is doing, but as humans, we know what it is doing and what it can produce. So anytime we notice there is something unethical, we can come in and correct. So when humans have got moral transgressions, that can lead to dangers from partially autonomous artificial intelligence. Like we have got deep fakes and other forms of misrepresentation. These are more human moral transgressions being aided by artificial intelligence. Now, also humans can direct artificial intelligence to doing good things. They also can direct to do bad things because AI is a tool. AI can be used also for selfish reasons. People want to make more profits. And I think in advertising, AI is being used a lot. Also, there is a way in which AI can become a fad, a fashion, you know. Everybody wants to be AI literate, AI competent, AI capable. But as you know, fashions and fads come and go. So this is our fad now. Maybe a few years from now, it may not be. Now, ethical issues in partial autonomous AI arise. Humans can control, but it's difficult for them to control it with difficulty. For example, when analyzing big sets of data, the human mind cannot manage to follow up with AI because the human brain cannot store and process as much information as AI does. So the human may not be able to follow what is going on in AI. The speed of processing, AI can process things very quickly, which is beyond the speed that humans can do. So this is partially autonomous AI, but the human finds difficult to assert control. He can assert control, but with difficulty. Now let us talk about fully autonomous AI with impossible human control. This is what I said before, the human out of the loop. This one is a theoretical concept, and I don't think that it has happened yet, because if it happens, that's against the Taskhir, and it will violate the moral foundations of Khilafah and Umran, and maybe potential destruction of the cosmic order. Also, fully autonomous AI will raise many legal and ethical issues, because the mistakes that occur, who is responsible? Who do you take to court for mistakes made by AI, for example, in surgery for a patient? So this is something quite frightening. Now, we know that with AI, we are facing many ethical problems. How do we solve them? What are the sources of ethical values that we can use to handle AI? I think you as researchers, there are two ethical values in Islam that you must start with. There is the value of purposiveness, gha'iyya. Everything that we do, we must ask, what's the end? What's the future vision? And the second one is taqlid. We should avoid blind following. What is happening in the AI world today is that both of these are being violated. Many people who work on AI, if you ask them, what's the vision down the line? What will happen 10 years from now? They don't have clear answers. It's vague. Also, the issue of blind following. We just get new technology, new algorithms, and we just use them without questioning, because some of them shouldn't be used. Some of them should be modified. So blind following a taqlid is a real problem that we are living with today. The ethical values that will help us navigate these problems are from our religion. AI has got the technical part. The technical part is from ilm aqli, it's human knowledge. But the moral part can come only from religion. The moral issues can be solved using ethical values from religion. So ilm naqli, which is transmitted knowledge, will play the role of guiding concepts and ethics to make sure that the technology doesn't cause grievous harm for humanity. So Muslims, we have the responsibility to disseminate ethical values of Islam to the whole humanity, the whole world, because if we do not, things may happen and may harm human civilization. Now, there is a question I ask. The algorithms used by artificial intelligence, has anyone ever figured out how we can incorporate ethical values? And I think this is an issue of concern, questioning, and research. The writers of algorithms that control everything should ask, where does ethics go into this? Now, the issue of the future vision is that every day we get new discoveries, new applications, and nobody wants to be left behind. So we just follow. But there's no overall vision of where we are going. I'm very sure that what we are experiencing today we could not imagine it 10 years ago. So that's the situation. And it's frightening also not to have a future vision. And then there is the other question that we can ask. Can artificial intelligence become more intelligent than humans? This is a complex question, very difficult to ask and very difficult to answer. But I would like you to start thinking about this possibility. Can it occur? And in what form? Blind following was condemned by the Quran a lot. Okay? التقليد الأعمى. That is when we don't have critical and selective absorption of technology. We just accept things as they come. Finally, I want to talk about a few things from قاعدة الضرر. This is one of the قواعد الفقهية, قواعد الشريعة. The principles of the Sharia is called the principle of harm. So we need to open our minds to what harms can come out of AI. And I think end users of AI products must be informed that there are potential mistakes and adverse effects. And we must get their informed consent before we give them these things to use. Now, among the dangers is misleading information. I'm surprised about deep fakes. People do this and they look real, but they are wrong. Crime, AI can be used for crime. Injustice, some people can benefit from AI to achieve their own objectives and commit crimes and bring about social evil. So what about criminal liability? Because if the human is not in charge, who is responsible for criminal acts that could arise out of AI processes? The issue of privacy and confidentiality. How can we keep our personal secrets? Because artificial intelligence seems is pervasive. It can go anywhere. AI can be used to produce more lethal weapons, more dangerous weapons. And then there is the other end when we have artificiality. You see, because sometimes AI could mother a baby, could pretend to be a father, and these things are happening. Could pretend to be a lover, but there's no lover there. And mass unemployment, because when AI does a lot of the practical work that humans do in factories, many will lose their jobs. But then there is the other side of it, that AI may enable owners of factories to enslave many humans and use them as slaves. The story of Sulaiman and the jinn, if you remember, is very instructive. And we need to read it again in the context of modern technology. Now, AI has got another issue in that you have a black box. You have practical results, but you cannot explain how we got to those results. Where did they come from? We don't have a sense of transparency. There is no explainability, just a black box. The algorithms produce conclusions, images, whatever we want, but maybe we do not fully understand how they reached that end. Inclusiveness, because artificial intelligence in the end depends on analyzing available data. But how representative is that data? Is everything included there? So mistakes can occur, and many problems that we need to think of from an ethical point of view as we deal with this new technology. We need to think deeply. I would like to emphasize that this is the time to think, not just to follow. Don't just follow blindly. That is taqlid, blind following was condemned by the Quran as taqleed, we shouldn't just follow. We should think seriously as Muslims, what is our ethical stand regarding the developments. But one thing that you cannot do, you cannot reject these developments. We have to live with AI, but make sure that we are thinking and we are taking measures to avoid immoral and unethical consequences. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.